our next guest has generated more audience members than anyone we have ever had on the show before, and it's no wonder. He has dedicated his entire life to saving and protecting wildlife in our oceans around the world, risking his life repeatedly in the battle over whaling. His supporters have followed him for decades, but when his show Whale Wars hit the air on Animal Planet, he became a national and somewhat controversial hero everywhere. Take a look.
The bow, I'm guessing 6 or 8 feet of the bow is completely separate from the rest of the vessel.
Is everybody okay?
At this point, I have no idea. The bow is literally ripped off. We're standing by, we're putting a small boat in the water, we're going to come alongside our starboard side and lower our gangplank. We've been trying to establish radio contact with the offending vessel, and they are not responding, but they have stopped.
Do you know where the Nishimaru is?
The Nishimaru backed off. I have not placed eyes on the other Japanese fleet vessels.
Please welcome the founder of the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, Washington, Captain Paul Watson. Captain Paul, how are you? Good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. You're unique. You know why? That's the first standing O we've gotten in the studio so far. So you have some serious fans out there. So as I'm reading back over your history, I'm finding out that you're not really the shy and retiring type. You like to get your nose in there when you believe something. Tell us a little bit about what you do and why you do it.
I set the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society up as an organization to intervene against illegal activities. You know, we have all the laws and treaties we need to protect our oceans. We simply have a lack of economic and political will on the part of governments to enforce those laws. So, for instance, the Japanese fleet is targeting endangered and protected whales in an established whale sanctuary in violation of a global moratorium on whaling. And nobody's doing anything about it. So that's why we decided to go down and intervene.
Now, you guys get in there. You all get in there and try to get in the way, make sure this doesn't happen, but you've also been involved in sinking some vessels, is that correct?
Our approach over the years is to enforce these laws, and sometimes when we're dealing with pirate whaling vessels, we have sunk them. We make sure nobody's on board when we sink them, but we sank half the Icelandic whaling fleet in '86, half the Spanish fleet, and we do this, and we also make ourselves available if there's any charges. For instance, in Iceland, after we sank the ships, I went to Iceland, I said, okay, well, charge me, and they threw me out of the country. The Minister of Justice says, who does he think he is? He comes here and demands to be arrested. Get him out of here. So because they knew
you're willing to face the consequences of what you're doing.
They knew that to put me on trial would be to put Iceland on trial. These people are criminals. What they're doing is no different than elephant poachers in Africa.
Very interesting. Now, you and the Japanese are not getting along well at this moment. The whaling fleet, not the country, just the whaling industry. And tell me a little bit about this incident in which one of your boats was rammed by one of their vessels. What happened?
Our fast interceptor vessel, the Otigil, was deliberately rammed by the Shonan Maru #2 and cut right in half, and was a total loss. Almost killed 6 of our crew.
We're looking at pictures of that now. When did this happen?
This was on January 6th of this year. And the interesting thing about this is the captain of that Japanese vessel has not been questioned by anybody since then. That's unheard of in maritime history, even if it was an accidental collision. The Japanese refused to cooperate with the New Zealand and Australian authorities in investigating this, and because they refused to cooperate, it's not going anywhere.
Well, what's your thought about why no authorities pursue these things once they've happened, either the illegal activities to begin with or specific incidents like this one?
Japan's a large economic power, and they're throwing their weight around. They're bullying their way through this. And in fact, what they did was they arrested the captain of that vessel they destroyed, brought him back as a prisoner to Japan, held him for 148 days, and charged him with trespassing because he went on board that vessel to confront the captain who destroyed his ship. And they would not even allow them to bring up the fact that his ship has destroyed when they put him on trial.
Now, are you in personal danger, do you feel? I mean, you are obviously the leader of this movement. You guys put your lives on the line out on the water, but if I were you, I'd be concerned about myself as I was walking around each day. Are you?
It's a difficult task for us. We go down there and the Japanese are trying to kill us, but we have to do what we do, making sure we don't injure any of them. And we haven't injured any of them. We don't intend to, but they shoot at us, they throw concussion grenades at us, they ram and destroy our ships, and so it's a one-sided thing, but we have to be very careful that we are nonviolent ourselves. Actually, the
the
Dalai
incident-
Lama once described what we do very he gave me a little statue called Hayagriva, which means the compassionate aspect of Buddha's wrath. And I said, well, what's that mean? He says, well, you never want to hurt anybody, but sometimes you have to scare the hell out of them until they see enlightenment.
In the incident that we just looked at where the boat was rammed, was anyone injured on your crew during that?
One of the cameramen from Animal Planet had 2 broken ribs from that, but nobody was injured. It was very close. Another meter, and they probably would have killed somebody.
So what is it like now to have all of this televised? It's sort of one thing to be out there braving the elements, and you have the most passionate crew ever, right? Because everybody who comes on board knows what they're signing up for. This could be very serious stuff.
Well, one of the criticisms that we get from people is that our crew are inexperienced, that they're non-professionals. But I couldn't pay people to do what this crew does. That kind of passion you can't buy. It's the same with Ernest Shackleton went to Antarctica. He was criticized for the same thing. His crew were inexperienced. And he said, I don't want professionals. I want people with passion that are going to get me to the pole.
Yeah.
And the same thing here is that my crew come from all over the world. They're international, men and women from all over the world, and they're extremely passionate and very courageous. Without them, we couldn't do anything.
So what's it like being on TV now? Has that really brought a lot of attention to this cause, multiplied the number of people who are aware of Sea Shepherd?
It certainly has increased in awareness. It certainly has made the Japanese very angry. How about that? But it's certainly brought this into everybody's attention, the fact that illegal whaling is taking place and that people are trying to do something about it. But we're actually unique as a television show because we're probably the only show that actually wants to get off the air.
Yeah.
And we will do so once we drive the Japanese fleet out of the Southern Ocean.
Yeah. Put yourself out of business. So my final question to you today would be just why this is so important to you and what you want us all to know. How do we participate? Why should we care? And how do we bring this to the conclusion you want, is where you don't have to be out there doing this?
Well, the bigger picture, the overall message I'd like to convey is that, you know, the oceans are in trouble. We're overfishing everything. A lot of illegal activities are going on. We have oil spills. We have pollution. We have plastic pollution. The oceans are in trouble. And if the oceans die, we die. This is a question of self-preservation. We must do everything we can to protect life in the ocean. We have to understand that the value of a fish in the ocean swimming free is more important than it is on your plate, because that keeps that integrity of that ecosystem intact. And we need those fish to keep our oceans alive. We need to have a living ocean.
I can feel it. I can feel the passion. I appreciate what you do. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you all. This is Captain Paul Watson, everybody.
Thank you.
Now that is one excited, committed audience. Well, for you at home, there are many, many ways you can support Sea Shepherd's mission. For you at home, there are lots of ways to support Sea Shepherd's mission to protect marine wildlife. We have a link to their website on our website at king5.com/newday. Please do visit and see what you can do. You can also follow Captain Paul and all of his crew each week on a wonderful show, Whale Wars, which airs every Friday night at 9 p.m. on Animal Planet, my favorite channel. Lots more ahead when we return.